Hey guys, the portfolio is widening right up. I'm getting more interest and action coming through based on two things coming to light. One, it takes about 2 months, well, three, to rank keywords quite high. I mean, top 10 for pretty much anything you want if you build it well. So if you build it in the first month and wait 2 months, it's going to be ranking really high. And even that first month after you build it, you're going to start to see it grow fast. I went through website after website after website where I see that happening. But here's the caveat. Those websites must already exist and either expired but still have some backlinks, or they're on auction but not much is happening with them. They're not getting any traffic, but they still have some backlinks. In other words, three things. One, the domains have to relate to the task at hand, like locksmith websites for locksmiths. Okay. And if they're in this area, then they should be in this area. And then the second thing is that they have backlinks and domain age. Third thing. So if they are aged and they're the right kind of domain name topically, or at least we can use it the right way, and they have some kind of backlinks, even from the past, okay, then they are really, really ripe for, if you do work right on them now, as far as Google's concerned, you finally figured out what you're doing, and Google will rank you quick and hard because you're obviously determined. And so even if the domain name gets sold to a new party, you can take it over. Google sees the determination. So you build what the domain name is about, and it's old and it's got backlinks, and that should still count. Even after it switches hands, of course, it should still count. It's an asset. You bought it with all that power attached to it. Or if it expired, you got it for like $9 simply because nobody else knew what to do with it. Okay, I said all that to say this next thing. In my last long video, almost an hour long, I was almost suggesting that we aren't doing anything with the accident attorneys anymore. Yes, we are. Of course we are. And the alcohol, drug, and abuse. Yes, we are. Of course we are. Except that there's a bit of a quandary there. And that's that I don't want to create profiles for lawyers who are not real. And I don't want to start pitching lawyers who didn't give me permission. Because they're lawyers. Normally, we can take anyone's public information, just like in a directory. You're allowed to post everyone's websites in your directories and invite them to come claim their listing. And if they say, no, take mine down, and you're like, but you're public, right? You're open for the internet to see. They're like, yeah, I just don't want you to have it. Then, I mean, it's personal preference. I can take it down and leave it up. Because legally, it's public information. Everyone has the right to put it where they want. So here's the thing. If you're going to dispatch to a bunch of locksmiths in an area, and I'll get to why I'm talking about this pretty shortly, what you do is you use some of the locksmiths in the areas, like meet our locksmiths, meet some of our locksmiths, and you discuss about the locksmiths. And you justify your websites right away because you're using local locksmiths and explaining what their accreditations, and so on. You're showing whatever accolades you find on their website about those locksmiths or about the group, because you're going to dispatch to them. And so it's perfectly fine for you, if you're going to make sales happen for that guy over there, to describe that guy on your site as one of the guys that you're leading, meet some of our locksmiths. Doesn't mean that that's the guy who's going to drive you necessarily, but this is one of the guys that we send leads to. And here's another one, here's another one. So we can do that. And if you do it, you legitimize the website in Google's eyes. And that's something I learned from their PDF. I had no idea how much attention they paid to something called YMYL till I discovered they mention it like 109 times in the document. Your money, your life. If you're going to do something that's big like that, locksmiths deal with the locks in your house, then you have to be able to put real information about who those guys are. And so if you do that, and we can, it's not even a problem. Most of those guys are going to want it because if we're sending them leads, a lot of guys live off those dispatch leads. That's how they make their money. They just drive around their truck and wait for leads that they can take to pop up on their phone. So they don't know anything about how to be web savvy. So they're waiting for the leads to come in. So they're just happy to be mentioned more and more. They're happy to get more and more leads. Anyway, why am I explaining all that? Because This blew my mind. The locksmiths came back and they said, Dave, here's the thing. Over the course of the years, our websites finally dropped. We don't know why. We're not that web savvy. And they did. They dropped back here in January of 2022. They started their drop right here, and it caught up with them by here. Okay? And they have been really relying on resellers with their own websites bringing them leads. And so they were saying, they finally came around and said, what have you been up to lately? Are you able to help us with this? And it's like, yeah. Especially now that I've been studying up on all this stuff. So, I mean, it's funny. And the world changed. GPT allows us to create all the best content in the world. So then you start thinking, what is all the best content that I should create? I can create the best facts, the best testimonials, the best profiles, the best. I can create a different page for every zip code, for every discipline, and I can create variations for the same zip code. So I'll explain why in a minute. The reason that they lost their rank is because of this basic, well, it was kind of named a spam algorithm. I mean, I remember this to some degree, and it means this. If you're putting out a lot of information that's YMYL, your money, your life, but you're not backing it up, you're not justifying it, you don't really have the terms explained on your website, how you handle things, you know, how the bonding works, the insurance works, whatever. If you don't really have that, then, and if you don't describe, you know, who the locksmiths are, something, or show, you know, any references to people, then who's to believe you, right? You don't have any linkage out there. You don't have any information around. Google doesn't recognize anything on your site, and you're not talking about anybody in particular that Google can trace. And so Google does have a thing for that called YMYL. It doesn't apply to all industries, but it applies to things that matter, okay? Like if you were to look up how many slices are there in a pizza, that's not YMYL. How many tablespoons are in a cup? That's not YMYL, right? But if you're going to have a locksmith come to your house, or a financial advisor, a doctor, a lawyer, those are YMYL. Anyway, over the years, that was never a thing until it suddenly was. Google suddenly made it a thing. And so they've been stuck. Not my fault. We created everything back here, right? They've been writing on it ever since. It was a hell of a run. Anyway, they came back. And so after discussing it, I said, look, give me some sites. They go, how about 58? It's like, okay, are these age domains? It's like, yeah, they are. It's like, all right, so we're going to redo everything on them. They're like, okay. I said, we're going to use some of the local locksmiths and stuff. And they go, okay, but what if some of those are not the same locksmiths we're sending leads to? Said in the disclaimer, we'll make it clear that the listings we have are not necessarily updated. It could be somebody's there that we're meaning to add later, or somebody left the network and we just didn't remove them yet. It'll be in the disclaimer. And then if anyone actually has a problem with it, they can let us know. We can replace their profile with somebody else. There's so many locksmiths around here. There are tons. It's not an issue at all. But anyway, they have age domains, which means we get to do that 3-month whip. We get to put out quality content for 1 month, and then it will just chuck its way to the top. So let me show you why. So that's what we're doing. We're overcoming this. So how did this happen? I want to show you how that happened, okay? Let's take any one of their websites that we made so long ago. I'm looking back in time, right? This is one of the websites we made for them 7 years ago, right? And look what they wound up doing eventually. They created a page for every zip code. They are really fastidious that way. So they had a page for every locksmith zip code, locksmith other zip code, locksmith other zip code around the whole nation, right? What I find out, the more I did the searches, there are very, very, very few searches for a locksmith with the zip code. Almost never happens. There are a few here and there for whatever reason, but there are not many. Still, here's the point. Let's open some of those zip codes in different pages and take a look at them, okay? There it is. Here's the zip code up here. And then again right here, and again right here, you know, a few times going down the page, right? Again right here. All right, now, if I flip to the next page, the only thing that changed was the zip code. As a matter of fact, the last number. And so that's it. It's the only thing that changed, right? So if you make the exact same page, but then you make a copy of it for every zip code, Google calls it spam. It says, don't do that. So you're thinking, well, what am I supposed to do if I want to target all those zip codes in that city? The idea is beautiful. Describe what the neighborhood is like in the zip code 98029. And it goes, Issaquah, right? Yeah, last I know, that zip code's in Issaquah, Washington, a county located in King County, part of the greater Seattle area. Yeah, it's a city I live in. So it goes describing it. That's like, great. That's part of what I'm after. And I said, create a short pitch for an emergency locksmith in this zip code, and then create a different one for a zip code in Elkhart, Indiana. Make each pitch feel like it belongs to that zip code. And it did it. Here are the pitches. For my area, it starts talking about my area. Issaquah Highlands Lock and Key, your reliable neighborhood locksmith, locked out of your home after a long hike. Yeah, that's a very common thing here in Issaquah, long hikes. Key broke in the lock of your condo. There are a lot of condos. We got you covered 24/7 right here in the heart of 98029. As a locally owned, community-driven business, we're not just any locksmith service, we're your neighbors. We understand the unique needs of the Issaquah Highlands community, from our residential complexes to local businesses. Yeah, fast professional hours, ready to help. That's Issaquah Highlands Lock and Key. Stay safe in our beautiful community, knowing we're just a call away. Hey, that's kind of cool. What about Elkhart? Elkhart Secure Locksmith, your trustworthy local locksmith. Got locked out after a day at the RV Hall of Fame? Yeah, that's in that zip code. Need a fast and reliable locksmith service for your business in Elkhart's thriving manufacturing industry? Elkhart Secure Locksmith is at your service around the clock. Family-owned business is part of the heartbeat of Elkhart, 46514. We understand the unique rhythms of our RV-loving town, and we're dedicated to providing dependable, swift locksmith services to our residents and businesses. Just a call away, ensuring that your Hoosier hospitality isn't interrupted by lock troubles. Now, these are just paragraphs. I wouldn't make whole pages, but about each zip code independently. And I even took it that far. Now create the same thing for the next zip code right next to it, right? And it goes, whoops, that's not a real one. I said, okay, how about that one? And it goes, hey, it's a different area of the city. And it starts in, unexpected lockout after a scenic stroll along the Elkhart River. That's in that zip code, right? So it goes through the whole thing. And then I said, do me another one. And it did. So I got two that are different. Okay? So if I have multiple websites in that area, I can create the exact same concept, but uniquely written for each zip code on the same website. And if I have other websites and I write for the same zip codes again, they're still going to be different every time. And yet they relate to the zip code. So what can you say? This is how you just burrow your way through and bore your way to the top of the search results for all the things you're after. That's the amazement. So when we write about locksmith services, we get to include the geography notes. Just like real locksmiths might do, we can go that far, and then we can create all the topics for the stuff that they don't know how to rank for. We were thinking locksmith ranking was really, really hard. Turns out we just had to grab the right keywords, and now the just fill in. You know what I found some of the locksmiths do who are ranking and they have no good scores to rank with? They'll mention their accreditations. We can do that vicariously. And then also they'll talk about the hard keys that they can fix. One of the toughest keys on an Audi, say, or one of the toughest keys for an Acura, things that are really unique in their own ways. So they'll mention those difficult keys on different pages or in different paragraphs. We can do the same thing. We can literally make details about everything. So let me take a look at the potential of this. This is insane because I'm going to invite you into this. Okay, I want 10 guys at $1,000 each to help me build this out right. And I'm going to show you the math. Okay, the math is crazy cool. All right, Locksmith Seattle. Let's take a look at this, okay? Volume, at least 5 a month. At least 5 a month. With the keyword difficulty of 0 to 40. You know why 40? Normally I cut it off at like 25 or 30, right? You know why I'm going 40? Because the domain names they're giving me will justify a 40 already. Many of those domain names have a domain rank somewhere appropriate to that 40 anyway. And since they're older and we start in, we're just going to win the keywords. Okay? And we get to do it with several websites per city. Okay? So check this out. Cheap Locksmith Seattle has a keyword difficulty of 22. You know how easy that is to get? And there are people that are paying 10 bucks a click. Okay? 180 clicks, right? That's the volume, right? Whoops. Flip that one way or the other. Yeah. So anyway, Locksmith West Seattle. Keyword difficulty is still in range. Seattle Auto Locksmith, Car Locksmith Seattle. There's 180 visitors, 180, 130, 90, 90, 85, 70, 55, 55. It's a lot of people. Okay, so Locksmith Seattle, every month about 1,250 people look for Locksmith in Seattle. Okay, that's the best way to read that. What about the next city over? What about Federal Way? If you go out of Seattle and go down I-5 a while, you'll get to Federal Way. It'll take like an hour and a half or so. I forget exactly how far down. Maybe an hour. But you'll hit Federal, more like 45 minutes actually. You'll hit Federal Way. Still, the keywords are easy pickings. You get a bunch of websites there, and you can grab yourself basically 1,000 searches a month with very little effort. Okay? What else? Tacoma, Locksmith Tacoma. After all, C-Tag, Seattle, Tacoma, going from the north to the south that way. Same thing, 5 and up to 40. 560 more people we can grab. Why do I say 560 more people we can grab? Because we got so many websites for each of these areas that we get to shove up to the top by writing uniquely onto each of these websites. And they are aged and solid, and the keyword difficulty is so low that we get to take most of those spots. Okay? Anyway, let me go through a couple more cities just to make the point. Locksmith Puyallup, that's like 390. Vancouver, Washington, that's 844. Auburn, Washington, it's 68. And then Kent, Washington, 72. When you add it up, it's 4,000 searches a month. Okay? So let's say out of the 4,000 searches a month, basically if you do the math on the ads versus what wind up being the organics, people in the morning, people are clicking the ads, the locksmiths are grabbing those deals and running off to do them. Later, as people call in, they can't now. Their people are way far away. So the guy keeps calling further down the list, keeps going down. So he winds up in the organics. It's an absolute certainty. And that's about 75% of the people every day. So times 0.75 is 3,000. Now, that's 3,000 people who are looking within the keyword structure, within the keyword difficulty and volume that we can go after. Okay? 3,000 hits in our neighborhoods. We can handle these. And so if we have 10 websites up for all of them, then theoretically we pick up 3,000 hits ourselves, which the dispatchers can handle. If 3,000 people a month are calling in, okay, that's only 100 people a day. There are 175 people answering the phones on the first shift alone all day long, and then dispatching the calls out after they figure out what the guy needs. Okay, the whole thing is set up already, and these are guys we trust. We trust the locksmiths, and they already have the system set up, and because their sites crashed, like I showed you on the graph, they had to get good at making sensible payouts to people and making that system work well in order to keep all their guys busy. Okay, so we are set for being able to pick this up. They just don't understand the savviness of it, the website of it. But if you think about it, that's 3,000. Average payout to the locksmiths is 75. Okay, that's considered the profit, their end of it. And then our end would be about 25% of that. Because, you know, they're giving us expired domains anyway. So the potential monthly, okay, is like this. Now, I'm not really expecting that, are you? Let's say we only get, who knows, like a fifth of it or whatever. You know, you're still talking about a crazy amount of nice, good money coming in, right? So if you do the math, our end, we get half of the profits, and whoever's putting the money in gets the other half, right? Split. So let me just say this. If it was something like, and I want to be clear on this again, 3,000 times 75 equals times 0.25 equals, comes in, okay? If we got all that, right? I'm just looking at the upper end. We can always chop it. So divide by 2, which is good because guess what I get to do? I get to start covering guys who build us up to the point where you get to benefit from the ease of stepping into these projects now that they're already basically done for you. We already did the websites. We're just cranking out the contents. They're going to swap the name servers. We're going to migrate the websites over, and we're just going to start to roll with it. So this is happening very fast. And then from there, we just grow. Okay, 28K. Say, what was I was saying I want 10 of you guys, 9 of you guys even to come in with $1,000 each, right? So if that were true, let's divide by 9 of you, okay? You're making like $3,000 each per month on if all that was happening. So, you know, even if it's less, but I just want to make the point, it's not going to be much less because we're going to grab most of those results because we already figured out how. Get the keyword difficulty that's low enough, figure out the volume, make the websites right, put them all out there, do our backlinking properly through the websites, and it's all on age domains, so we're going to get this to happen. So the potential's massive, but even if we got half of that, right? Whoops. I just want to say you'd be at like $1,500 a month. How long will it take for that to kick in? About 2 months. Because we're able to start putting this stuff out in the next couple of days. That means we can put it out, submit the sitemaps to Google, and if you watch the last video, the hour-long one, what are you going to find out? If you use age domains that have some backlinks on them, which all of these do, these domains on the list, and you put good contents out on them, even for big stuff like how many ounces in a cup, but the keyword difficulty is low, doesn't matter what the volume is. Google doesn't care about the volume, it cares about the keyword difficulty. So if you aim for the right keyword difficulty, things you should be able to achieve, and then you line up your sites and you backlink through them properly, you're going to win that. We went so far, I want to make this point for those of you who are savvy enough to really understand this. You know how there are ratios of do follow and no follow links? Check this out. We just made that happen. Select a tag, let's say an anchor, okay? So for a link. And let's take the attribute, let's say rel. You know, rel equals, and then we'll create the percentage. No follow once, follow 2 times. Then we could have sponsored, especially if you're linking out to some of these locksmiths one way or another, like credentials or accreditations. And we could have user-generated content, UGC. So by the time we have the structure done like this, and we paste in all the domains here and hit submit, we're going to create the proper balance between follow and no follow links, and then some of the others because they should be in there too. Then, and if we want to weight it right, I'm going to do this one more time. There. Now I got the right weighting. Submit across all those domains, and guess what? They all get updated immediately. All the links, the backlinks across all those websites get the rel tags added in immediately. Isn't that nuts? Another one that we're doing, just in case you're wondering, images, alt tags. What should the alt tags say on the images that is good to mix and match? You know, Locksmith, Federal Way, all those websites. I'm going to put those Locksmith Federal Way domains in here. Boom. and just straight, immediately the alt tags are added into the links. If the attributes are already there, it just modifies them. If it's not there, it adds them in. So we can update these anytime we want. There's no way to mess it up in the end. It's amazing. So yeah, that and the fact that we do all the linking, right? Interlinking within the website to the page menus. Hyperlinking, in case we have URLs in the paragraphs that need to be turned into clickable links. Cross-link content. Websites pointing at each other's page menus with the appropriate wording. Keyword linking, where we decide if we're going to put some websites up here, some websites down there, and then create the layers, right? Or even with splits, put in all the domains and split 1 to 20 times. And then that way, it'll do backlinks to backlinks to backlinks to backlinks to backlinks, on and on and on through the 20, which just makes this incredible growing domain authority power climb up through the websites. How's that for insanity? Okay. And so, guys, getting in with Locksmiths thing, it's going to be a fast turnaround for your 10 times out. My goal is to get you out 10 times over, although you get to stay in for a full year, which means if I got you to 10 times over in the first 6 months, I still got to keep paying you for the next 6 months, right? And if that means 30 times over, it means 30 times over. So it's possible, because especially, not only do we want it to work while you want it to work, we know what the problem is. We studied up on it, figured out everything they did wrong, and they are helping us help them, which I tell you I want, because you know what they want after this? Go nationwide. You know what else they want after this? Go through a bunch of other industries as well. House painting, landscaping, all that kind of thing. So what can I say? That's really opening a lot of doors hard and fast. And so there you go. There's my low-end offer. That's a K each buy-in. Just call me. You can try to log in and decrypt my leads, but right now we got a problem with the email system. It won't be fixed for like 24 to 48 hours. So you can get it then. Ask me if you got any questions about it. But for those of you that want to get into a position like that, you're helping us build this one up, then you're going to be the first guys I reach out to for the next batches. But in the meantime, yeah, I mean, I am very serious about this and the other 2 projects that we're doing in parallel, because they're all powerful. They're all extremely powerful. This is one. The other video I just did before this one, so you can look at the date time stamp of this video and watch the one that came before it, for about an hour. Massively influential. Absolutely amazing. That's website flipping. Make 10 times over on your money in 3 months, you know, kind of thing. Huge. Okay. And then compound that, which we can do. And then I've got one last thing. I've got to do a video about that explains kind of a high end, right? So I showed a mid end first, then this is a low end. I got a high end video coming out next that's explaining what you heavyweights can consider, because why not? It's absolutely huge. Okay, talk to you soon.